I found the wig in the back of his closet when I was looking for the winter coats. Long, auburn, and styled in soft waves that would have looked beautiful on me. Except it wasn't for me, it was for him. My husband of 27 years had been keeping a secret, and I was about to discover that everything I thought I knew about our marriage was only half the story. Before the story begins, please leave us a comment telling us which state or city you are watching from. Do not forget to like and subscribe so this channel can grow and bring you more exciting stories. That Tuesday afternoon started like any other. The October chill had settled over our town, and I was doing the seasonal closet swap, pulling out sweaters and heavy jackets, storing away the summer clothes. My name is Saffron, and at 52 years old, I thought I knew every corner of the house I had lived in for over 2 decades. I thought I knew every corner of my husband, too. His name was Montgomery, though everyone called him Monty. We had met in college, married young, built a life together. 2 children, now grown and living in different cities. A comfortable house in a quiet neighborhood. Jobs we tolerated but didn't love. The kind of marriage that settles into routines so familiar they become invisible, predictable, safe. Boring, if I was being honest with myself. The wig was in a hat box on the top shelf of Monty's side of the walk-in closet. I had to stand on a step stool to reach it, thinking it might contain winter accessories. When I lifted the lid and saw that cascade of auburn hair, my first thought was that it must be a Halloween costume from years ago. But then I noticed how high quality it was, how well maintained. This wasn't a cheap party store wig. This was expensive. This was cared for. My hands were shaking as I pulled it out, feeling the weight of it, the softness of the synthetic fibers that were almost indistinguishable from real hair. Under it, in the same box, were other things. Makeup. Not drugstore makeup, but high-end brands. Foundation in a shade slightly lighter than Monty's natural skin tone. Lipsticks in various shades of pink and red. Eyeshadow palettes with colors I had never worn myself. Mascara, eyeliner, blush, brushes still in their packaging. And beneath the makeup, carefully folded, was a dress. A simple black dress, classic style, size that would fit Monty's frame. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I sat down on the closet floor, the dress in my lap, trying to process what I was seeing. My husband wore women's clothes. My husband wore makeup and wigs. My husband had been keeping this massive secret from me for God only knew how long. The initial emotion that hit me wasn't anger. It was hurt. Deep, profound hurt that cut through me like a blade. How could he hide something this significant? How could he live a secret life under the same roof where I slept every night? What else didn't I know about the man I had spent nearly 3 decades with? But then the hurt transformed. It curdled into anger, hot and righteous. I felt betrayed, lied to, made a fool of. I had been walking around thinking we had an honest marriage, a transparent partnership, and all this time he had been hiding this fundamental part of himself. The anger grew as I sat there, looking at the evidence of my husband's secret life spread around me on the closet floor. I started going through the rest of his closet systematically, searching for more. I found shoes, women's shoes in size 11, tucked in boxes at the back, heels, flats, boots. I found more clothes, carefully hidden in garment bags labeled with items I knew he owned, but when I unzipped them, inside were skirts, blouses, more dresses. I found jewelry, clip-on earrings, necklaces, bracelets. I found a whole second wardrobe, an entire feminine persona that my husband had constructed and maintained without my knowledge. By the time Monty came home from work that evening, I had everything laid out on our bed. Every wig, every piece of clothing, every cosmetic, every accessory. The evidence of his deception arranged like an accusation. I heard his car in the driveway, heard the garage door open, heard his footsteps coming through the house. "Saffron?" he called out, like he did every day when he got home. "I'm upstairs," I called back, my voice tight. I heard him climbing the stairs, heard him walking down the hallway toward our bedroom. When he appeared in the doorway, his greeting died on his lips. His face went white as he saw everything spread across the bed. His eyes met mine, and in them I saw terror. pure, absolute terror. Saffron, he started, his voice shaking. I found your collection, I said, my tone cold. Your secret wardrobe. Care to explain? He stood frozen in the doorway, opening and closing his mouth like a fish out of water. The color had drained completely from his face. I thought I might pass out from the adrenaline coursing through my system. Sit down, I commanded, pointing to the chair by the window. We're going to talk about this. Now. He moved like a sleepwalker, crossing the room and sinking into the chair. He wouldn't look at me, couldn't look at the items on the bed. His hands were clasped together so tightly his knuckles were white. How long? I asked. How long have you been doing this? His voice when he answered was barely above a whisper. Since I was a teenager. The words hit me like a physical blow. Since he was a teenager. We had met when he was 21. We had been together for 27 years. That meant he had been doing this for potentially 35 years or more. Nearly his entire life. And you never thought to tell me? My voice was rising now, anger overtaking the hurt. In 27 years of marriage, you never thought your wife deserved to know? I wanted to, he said miserably. So many times I wanted to tell you, but I was scared. Scared of what? I demanded. Scared of losing you, he said, and now he looked up at me, and his eyes were filled with tears. Scared you would leave me. Scared you would think I was sick or perverted or crazy. Scared you would tell people. Scared our kids would find out and hate me. Scared of everything. So you just lied to me instead, I said bitterly, for our entire marriage. It's not lying, he protested weakly. It's just something I do for myself privately. It doesn't affect you. Doesn't affect me? I was shouting now. You have an entire secret life that doesn't affect me? You've been spending money on all this, hiding it, sneaking around in our own house, and you think that doesn't affect me? When do you even do this? When do you wear all this? When I'm at work, he admitted. Or when you go visit your sister. Or late at night when you're asleep. I go to the guest room and just spend a few hours being comfortable. Being myself. Being yourself, I repeated, and there was something cutting in my tone. So when you're with me, you're not yourself? That's not what I mean, he said desperately. Saffron, please, you have to understand. Then help me understand, I said. Because right now, all I understand is that my husband has been lying to me for 27 years, and so he told me. Sitting in that chair, tears streaming down his face, he told me everything. About being a child and secretly trying on his mother's clothes, feeling something click into place, something that felt right and comfortable and terrifying all at once. About hiding it through high school, through college, through our courtship and wedding. About the constant fear of being discovered, the shame, the self-loathing he had worked through to reach a point of acceptance. About the nights he spent dressed in feminine clothes, doing ordinary things like reading or watching TV, just existing in a way that felt authentic to some deep part of himself he had never been allowed to express. It's not sexual, he explained. I'm not attracted to men. I'm not transitioning. I don't want to be a woman. I just like how it feels to wear these clothes, to present this way sometimes. It's like there's this part of me that's feminine, and when I express it, I feel whole. When I suppress it, I feel incomplete. I listened to all of it, my anger slowly draining away and being replaced by a complex tangle of emotions I couldn't fully identify. Confusion, certainly. Sadness for what he had gone through. Lingering hurt at being excluded from this part of his life. But also, if I was being honest, a strange sort of understanding. Because hadn't I also felt incomplete sometimes? Hadn't there been parts of myself I suppressed for the sake of propriety, for fitting into the role of wife and mother and respectable middle-aged woman? Hadn't I sometimes looked in the mirror and wondered who I really was beneath all the expectations? When he finished talking, we sat in silence for a long time. The room was getting dark, the afternoon fading into evening. Neither of us moved to turn on a light. Finally, I spoke. I need time to process this, I said. I need to think. He nodded, wiping his eyes. I understand. That night, we slept in separate rooms for the first time in our marriage. I lay awake in our bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through 27 years of memories, looking for signs I had missed, clues I had overlooked. Had there been any? I honestly couldn't say. Monty had been a good husband, attentive, kind, faithful as far as I knew. We had raised our children together, supported each other through job losses and family deaths, and all the ordinary crises of life. We had laughed together, argued together, built a life together. And yet he had kept this enormous secret, this fundamental part of himself locked away where I couldn't see it. Over the next few days, we moved around each other carefully, like strangers. Polite conversations about dinner plans and household tasks, but nothing deeper. I could see the fear in his eyes every time he looked at me, waiting for me to tell him I wanted a divorce, that I couldn't accept this, that he disgusted me. But I didn't feel disgust. That was the strange thing. I kept waiting for revulsion to hit me, for some visceral rejection of what he had revealed. It never came. Instead, I felt curious. I started researching online, reading about crossdressing, about gender expression, about the difference between gender identity and sexual orientation. I learned that what Monty was describing was not uncommon, that many men felt more comfortable or authentic when expressing a feminine side, that it didn't mean they were gay or wanted to transition or were sick in any way. I read forums where men talked about their experiences, and I read forums where their partners talked about their reactions. Some marriages ended over this revelation. Others adapted and even strengthened. I read about couples who went shopping together, who went to support groups together, who integrated this aspect of their lives rather than keeping it segregated and secret. About a week after the discovery, I knocked on the guest room door where Monty had been sleeping. "Come in," he called. He was sitting on the bed looking miserable. I sat down next to him. "I've been thinking a lot," I said. "About us, about this, about everything." He nodded, not meeting my eyes. "I'm not going to lie and say I'm not hurt that you hid this from me," I continued. "I am hurt. I feel betrayed that you didn't trust me enough to share this part of yourself." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "But I also understand why you were scared," I said. "And I've been reading, learning, trying to understand what this means." "Monty, I don't want our marriage to end over this." He looked up sharply, hope flaring in his eyes. "You don't?" "I don't," I confirmed. "But I don't want secrets anymore either. If we're going to move forward, it has to be with honesty. Complete honesty." He nodded vigorously. "Yes, anything." "I want to see you," I said. "Fully dressed, made up, the complete picture. I want to see this other inside of you that you've been hiding." He looked terrified. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," I said. "Because right now, this is all theoretical to me. It's clothes in a box, makeup in a drawer. I need to see what it actually looks like when you express this part of yourself." That Saturday, Monty got dressed for me. I waited in the living room, nervous and uncertain about what I would see, how I would react. When he finally came down the stairs, I held my breath. The transformation was remarkable. He was wearing the black dress I had found, paired with the auburn wig styled in those soft waves. The makeup was expertly applied, subtle but effective, softening his features. He wore modest heels that added a few inches to his height. He had shaved his legs, I noticed. He had painted his nails a soft pink. He stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking at me with such vulnerability it broke my heart. "What do you think?" he asked, and his voice was Monty's voice, incongruous coming from this feminine presentation. I stood up and walked closer, studying him. He was nervous. I could see his hands shaking slightly. Up close, you could see the masculine bone structure beneath the makeup, the broader shoulders, the larger hands. It wasn't a perfect illusion, but it was also clear that this was something he had practiced, something he had worked at, something that mattered to him. "You look beautiful," I said, and I meant it, not in a conventional way, but in the way that anything authentic and true is beautiful. Relief flooded his face. "Really?" "Really," I said. "Sit down. Let's talk." We sat on the couch together, this strange version of my husband and me, and we talked for hours. He told me about the persona he had created for himself, the name he used in his head when he was dressed this way. Her name was Magnolia. He told me about how he felt when he was Magnolia, more relaxed, more at ease in his own skin. He told me about the isolation of keeping this secret, the constant vigilance required to hide it, the fear that poisoned what should have been a source of joy. And I told him about my own feelings, about the hurt and betrayal I still felt, but also about my growing understanding and acceptance. We talked about what this would mean for our marriage going forward. Would Magnolia remain a private thing, or would we venture into public spaces? Would we tell our children, our friends? What were the boundaries we both needed to feel comfortable? By the end of that day, we had made some decisions. Magnolia would no longer be a secret between us. Monty would be free to dress at home whenever he wanted. We would take things slowly regarding going public, starting with maybe joining a support group or attending events specifically for cross-dressers and their partners. We would see a therapist together to work through the trust issues created by years of secrecy. And then I made a suggestion that surprised both of us. "Tomorrow," I said, "let's go shopping." Together. His eyes widened. "Shopping?" "For Magnolia," I said. "Your wardrobe is clearly limited to what you could sneak into the house. Let's get you some proper clothes, things that fit well, things that make you feel good." "But won't that be strange?" he asked. "Won't people judge us?" "Maybe," I said. "Probably. But I don't care anymore. If this is part of you and I'm accepting that, then I'm going to fully accept it. No more hiding, no more shame. We're in this together now." He started crying again, but these were different tears. Relief, gratitude, maybe even joy. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for not leaving me. Thank you for trying to understand." "I'm not saying it's going to be easy," I warned him. "This is still new and strange to me. I'm going to make mistakes, say the wrong things, feel uncomfortable sometimes. But we're going to figure it out together." The next day, Sunday afternoon, we drove to a mall in the next town over, far enough from home that we were unlikely to run into anyone we knew. Monty was dressed as Magnolia, and I could see he was terrified as we walked through the parking lot. "What if someone recognizes me?" he kept asking. "What if someone says something?" "Then they say something," I replied, trying to sound braver than I felt. The truth was, I was nervous too. Walking through the mall with my husband dressed in women's clothes felt transgressive, like we were breaking some fundamental social rule. People stared. Of course they stared. A 6-foot-tall woman with broad shoulders and a masculine build drew attention. Some looks were curious, some were hostile, some were sympathetic. I held Monty's hand and kept walking. We went to several department stores, and I helped him pick out clothes. It was strange and surreal, standing in the women's section, holding dresses up to my husband's frame, discussing what colors looked good on him, but it was also oddly fun. I had forgotten how much I used to enjoy shopping before life got busy, and clothes became just functional necessities. At one store, a sales associate approached us. She was young, maybe early 20s, with bright purple hair and multiple piercings. She looked at Monty, then at me, and smiled. "Can I help you ladies find anything?" she asked, and the casual acceptance in her voice, the use of the word ladies to include Monty, made him light up. "We're looking for dresses," I said. "Something classic but comfortable." She led us to several racks and started pulling options, making suggestions, treating Monty exactly as she would treat any other customer. It was such a small thing, but I could see how much it meant to him. In the dressing room area, there was an awkward moment when the attendant tried to direct Monty to the men's dressing rooms, but I intervened. "She's with me," I said firmly, and the attendant, flustered, waved us through to the women's section. Monty tried on dress after dress, emerging from the dressing room each time to model for me. I gave honest feedback, vetoing things that didn't fit well or weren't flattering colors. We laughed together at some of the more outrageous options. It felt like we were on a strange sort of date, reconnecting in this bizarre new context. We left that mall with several bags of clothes, a new wig that we agreed looked more natural than the auburn one, and a tentative sense of hope. Maybe we could make this work. Maybe our marriage could survive this revelation and even grow stronger because of it. The months that followed were a journey of adjustment and discovery. We started seeing a therapist who specialized in gender and sexuality issues. She helped us navigate the complex emotions we were both experiencing. She helped Monty work through his shame and self-loathing. She helped me process my feelings of betrayal while also moving forward. We joined a support group for crossdressers and their partners. The first meeting was terrifying for both of us, walking into a room full of strangers who knew our secret. But we found community there, people who understood what we were going through, who had walked similar paths. I met other wives and partners who had gone through the same shock and confusion I was experiencing. Their stories helped me feel less alone. At home, Magnolia became a regular presence. Most evenings, Monty would come home from work and change into feminine clothes. We would have dinner together, watch TV together, do all the ordinary things couples do, except now he was wearing a skirt and blouse instead of jeans and a t-shirt. It stopped feeling strange surprisingly quickly. What took longer to adjust to was my own evolving reaction. Because something unexpected was happening. I was starting to enjoy this. Not just tolerate it, not just accept it, but actively enjoy it. There was something liberating about having a partner who was willing to blur traditional gender lines. It made me think about my own relationship with femininity and masculinity. It made me question assumptions I had held my entire life about what it meant to be a woman, what it meant to be a man, what it meant to be a couple. One evening, about 4 months after the initial discovery, I was watching Monty apply makeup at the vanity in our bedroom. He had gotten quite skilled at it, better than I had ever been. "You're really good at that," I commented. He smiled at me in the mirror. "I've had a lot of practice. Decades of practice in secret." "Teach me," I said impulsively. He turned to look at me, surprised. "Teach you makeup? You know how to do makeup." "Not like that," I said. "I never learned properly. I just do the basics. The same routine I've done since high school. Show me how to do something more dramatic, more fun." And so he did. He sat me down at the vanity and transformed my face, explaining techniques and tools and color theory. He gave me dramatic eyeliner, bold lip color, contouring that changed the shape of my face. When he was done, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. I looked powerful, glamorous, like someone interesting and daring. I loved it. That became our new routine. We would get dressed up together, him as Magnolia, me in outfits more daring than I had worn in years. We started going out together, first to LGBTQ-friendly spaces where we felt safe, then gradually to more mainstream venues, dinners at restaurants, walks in the park, even a movie theater. We got stares, got occasional rude comments, but we also got smiles from unexpected allies, nods of support from strangers who appreciated what we were doing. Our confidence grew. 6 months after the discovery, we told our children. Both of them were adults. Our daughter was 30 and our son was 27, but we were still terrified of their reactions. We invited them both home for dinner, which immediately made them suspicious, since we usually only did family dinners for holidays. Over dessert, Monty cleared his throat. "Your mother and I have something we need to tell you," he began. Both kids immediately looked panicked, probably thinking we were announcing a divorce or a terminal illness. "I've been keeping a secret from all of you for a very long time," Monty continued. "And it's time to be honest," he explained, much as he had explained to me months earlier. Our daughter, Iris, listened with wide eyes. Our son, Fletcher, looked confused. When Monty finished, there was a long silence. "So you're transgender?" Fletcher finally asked. "No," Monty said. "I'm not transitioning. I still identify as a man. I just enjoy expressing a feminine side sometimes. It's called crossdressing." "I don't really understand," Iris admitted. "But I don't have to understand to support you, Dad. You're still you." Fletcher nodded slowly. "Yeah, okay, I mean, it's weird, I'm not going to lie. But if it makes you happy and Mom is okay with it, then I guess it's fine." The relief on Monty's face was palpable. "Would you like to meet Magnolia?" he asked hesitantly. Both kids looked at me, checking my reaction. I nodded encouragingly. "Sure," Iris said. "Yeah, okay," Fletcher agreed. Monty went upstairs and changed. When Magnolia came back down, both kids stared. It was clearly taking them a moment to reconcile this feminine presentation with the father they had known all their lives. "You look nice, Dad," Iris finally said, and I could hear that she meant it, even if she was still processing. "The wig is good," Fletcher added awkwardly. "Very natural looking." We all laughed at that, the tension breaking. The evening continued, strange but not uncomfortable. By the time the kids left, they had adapted remarkably well. They hugged both of us, told us they loved us, and promised to stay in touch. A year after the initial discovery, Monty and I renewed our vows. It was a small ceremony, just us, the kids, Paloma, and a few close friends who knew about Magnolia. The officiant was from the support group, a kind older woman who specialized in ceremonies for unconventional couples. Monty wore a suit for the ceremony, traditional and masculine, but for the reception afterward, he changed into a beautiful blue dress. We danced together, my husband in heels, me in a suit I had bought specially for the occasion. I hadn't worn a suit since my 20s, had forgotten how good it felt to dress in clean, sharp lines, had forgotten that I had a choice in how I presented myself to the world. As we danced, Monty whispered in my ear, "Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for seeing me and loving me anyway." I pulled back to look at him, this man I had married 28 years ago, who I was still discovering, who still surprised me. "I don't love you anyway," I corrected. "I love you. Because of all of this. Because you're brave enough to be yourself, and you've helped me be brave enough to be myself too." Because he had. In accepting Magnolia, in embracing this unconventional expression of gender, I had started questioning my own assumptions about femininity and masculinity. I had started experimenting with my own presentation, sometimes dressing in traditionally feminine ways, sometimes in masculine ways, sometimes in something in between. I had discovered that I didn't have to be one thing or another. I could be fluid, changeable, complex. Monty's secret, his revelation, his courage in finally being honest, it had cracked open something in our marriage that had been sealed shut for too long. It had forced us to communicate in ways we never had before. It had made us question everything we thought we knew about each other and about ourselves. And in doing so, it had saved us from the slow death of a marriage that had become routine and predictable and comfortable, to the point of suffocation. Now, 2 years after finding that wig in the closet, our life together is richer and stranger and more authentic than it ever was before. We go shopping together, Monty and I, picking out clothes for both of us. We experiment with makeup and hairstyles. We attend support group meetings where we've made real friends, people who understand what it's like to live outside conventional gender norms. We've even started advocating for greater acceptance and understanding, speaking at community events, sharing our story with others who might benefit from hearing it. Our marriage is not perfect. We still argue about money and household chores and whose turn it is to call the plumber. But we also have something we never had before: complete honesty, complete acceptance, complete freedom to be ourselves, whatever that means on any given day. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry about the years of deception, about the time Monty spent hiding this part of himself. The truth is, I was angry, furious even. But I'm not anymore, because I understand now that he was hiding it from himself as much as from me, that the shame and fear he carried were crushing weights that took decades to put down. And I understand that if he had told me earlier, when we were younger, less mature, less secure in ourselves, I might not have reacted as well as I did. We might not have survived the revelation. Sometimes things happen in their own time, when we're finally ready for them. Last week, we celebrated my birthday. Monty took me to a fancy restaurant, both of us dressed to the nines, me in a cocktail dress, him in a sharp suit. Halfway through dinner, he pulled out a small wrapped box. I opened it to find a beautiful necklace, delicate and elegant. "It's perfect," I said, kissing him. "There's more," he said, pulling out another box. This one was larger, wrapped in the same paper. I opened it and laughed. Inside was an exact duplicate of the necklace, but sized for someone with a larger frame. "One for you and one for Magnolia," he explained with a smile, "so we can both wear it." I reached across the table and took his hand. We're quite the pair, aren't we? I said. The strangest couple I know, he agreed. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Neither would I said. Neither would I. Because in the end, love isn't about perfect understanding or never making mistakes or having a relationship that looks like everyone else's. Love is about seeing someone completely, shadows and light, secrets and truths, and choosing to stay, choosing to grow together, choosing to build something unique and authentic and entirely your own. We did that. Against all odds, through pain and fear and confusion, we did that. And every day, I choose him again. My husband, my partner, my friend. Montgomery and Magnolia, both of them, all of him, all of us. Did you like the story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.